Hi there, I am with,
Mark Abend.
and we are in what trailer?
This is the Department of Homeland Security Investigations Mobile Command Center.
And it sounds fancy, but what is this? What do we do here?
Basically, what we do is we facilitate communications. We are also a command post for emergency management, and we can facilitate a lot of interoperability with the other agencies as far as radios go.
So when would you be deployed? For what kind of circumstance?
We get deployed quite often with our SWAT team. We get deployed with when we do multi-agency arrest warrants, and then also during events such as like the San Bernardino shooting.
Okay. Now, I come from a citizen-based disaster communications world. So how do you, or do you even interface with us with ham radio, disaster communications, citizen-based organization? Do you work with them at all?
We have not worked with them yet, but if there was ever a situation when there is a natural disaster, that was one of our primary go-tos would be the local hams.
Okay, so you have lots of very nice equipment here. We can't afford it ourselves. But what kind of capabilities? Do you have HF?
We do have HF.
And could you get on the ham bands?
Yes, we can.
Okay, now you've got UHF, VHF, probably microwave, all kinds of really cool
We don't
stuff.
have microwave, but we have UHF, VHF, UHF-2, 800, 700, satellite, and pretty much anything we can
So
take care of.
are some of the radios field tunable? In other words, if you went into the city of Gardena, where we're from, and we had our organization, could you program a radio on the fly to talk to our organization, which is actually in the Gardena EOC?
I actually have Gardena's police radio.
Okay, well, very good.
So we could patch it right into ours, but yes, we can. I have a code plug. I can just go in there, adjust, put the frequencies in and the PLs, and if it's encrypted, just as long as I have a key loader, I can throw the encryption keys in it, and we could be talking.
Now you have narrow banded FM.
Yes.
And you have APCO 25 digital Motorola.
Yes.
Do you have Moto Turbo?
No.
Okay. That is something you could look into. Some organizations, a lot of emergency communications groups are going Moto Turbo, but that's another thing. So, okay, when was the last time you guys were deployed?
I think we went out multiple arrest warrants on a fraud case probably 3 months ago.
And so how many people man this trailer?
I'd like to keep it as small as possible, but it takes a minimum of 2. I think 3 is too many. So
Okay.
I call it a 2.
Now, I call this a trailer, but this is not a trailer.
No, it's a unibody. It's basically it's a 46,000 pound vehicle. So we have to kind of be careful what we set up, make sure that we have a good stable platform, good earth beneath us, because it'll put holes right through bad concrete.
Now, you have at least one telescoping antenna up there.
Yes.
Do you know how high it goes?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you have more than one telescoping?
That I think has 6 antennas on it, and then it's also got an array of microwave antennas on it for downlinking from our helicopter.
Okay, so how do you power this beast during an extended deploy?
For an extended deploy, I think the last time we did an extended deploy was for the RNC and the DNC in Ohio and Philadelphia. We actually left this unit here, and I went to man the one from Chicago. We drove that over to the DNC and the RNC. And basically we set up in a secure area. We were there for 17 days. We were a fallback for the FBI and the Secret Service.
So how are you powering this thing?
It's a diesel generator.
And do they deliver more diesel to you, or do you have to go drive and fill her up?
Normally, right before we actually land at our location, we'll top off the tanks. We ran 7 days straight at the DNC without having to refuel, and then we were off to the RNC. Actually, the RNC first, and then the DNC. So we never even had to refill at all.
So how long do you think this would run without a refill?
Oh, easily a week. And then it's also got the ability for shore power, and then we can put power out on the grid too.
Very good. So is there any events that you attended to that you really remember the most?
Yeah, but I don't want to get political. I'll definitely remember the DNC for a long time.
Okay. So does this mobile facility, is this stay in a certain area of the United States?
Yeah, it's a regional asset. It's located in the city of Paramount, We have it in a stored in a garage, but basically anything west of Dallas, we cover.
So how many vehicles do they have? Can you even tell me how many
We
you
have five.
You have five of them.
Five in the nation that are this big. This is like the first generation. They've come out with a second generation. It's got some minor improvements on the chassis, but as far as communication go and its abilities, it's all the same. Then we have, I think, three of the. This is called a Dragon, so it's a big boy. We have three Raptors. They're a little bit smaller, and we can. Those are a lot more deployable. This one's, it takes quite a bit to get it up and going, but the Raptors are just quick and go. They're
So who drives this thing?
I do.
Okay. So how do you get deployed? Who tells you that you need to deploy?
Well, we have to wait for, if it's locally, our SAC, our special agent in charge, he can deploy us at any given time. So if we're doing like a local deployment within our own agency, an agent will put up an ops plan and say, hey, we're going to arrest this many people. We'd like to have the mobile command center. It runs through management, runs up to the top, right back down. Now, if we were to deploy to another part that's not in our area of responsibility, so our area of responsibility goes from San Diego to San Luis Obispo out to Las Vegas. So if we were going to go help San Diego out, their offices would request us to assist them. Then we'd go and deploy. Now, if we're going outside of our agency, they do an ESF 13, requesting for federal assistance, and then we could deploy for that.
Okay. I don't know if you can answer this question, but is this protected from EMP?
No.
Okay. So if we have a major earthquake in Southern California, do you have a pre-planned place you're going to go to, or how do you respond to that?
We have continuation operation plans, and so that's already been figured out where we're going to go. The part of this vehicle being stored here was based upon us having the ability to put it in a place that is multiple freeway accesses. In case when a freeway went down, we have multiple ways of getting out. So we kind of thought all that out already, and we have fallback places for this vehicle too, where it goes should we need to move it out and get it someplace safe.
Okay, I want to thank you for your time. I really want to thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Be safe out there.
I will be. Thank you.
Ready, go.
Hi. Your name is?
John Reynolds,
And John, what organization are you from?
Homeland Security Investigations.
And what is Homeland Security Investigation? What do you do?
We are part of the federal government. We are an agency under the Department of Homeland Security, and we are criminal investigators. Normally, this is a collateral duty. This is an all-volunteer team here, and by day we investigate federal crime for Homeland Security. And as a supplemental part of our job, we have formed and trained for this all disaster response team.
And so how do you get deployed? I mean, what would happen? Who would tell you to deploy?
It's multifaceted. Normally, on the smaller level, we, through liaisoning and through training outreaches, we coordinate with a lot of the local organizations in the area that we're from, because there are 18 of our teams around the country. We are just one of them. And we would, if a disaster happened in this area, through our communications and through our training environment, then we would be contacted by either that city government or that local law enforcement agency, and they would ask us if we're able to respond, whether it's in a law enforcement capacity or what we focus on is a search and rescue capacity.
So have you deployed recently?
Yes.
And could you tell us anything about that?
Yes. Our most recent deployment was with the San Bernardino terrorist attack. As part of Homeland Security Investigations, we were one of the primary agencies that were there on the scene assisting in the investigation. So we were deployed, first of all, as federal law enforcement officers, is to help with the investigation. By the time we got there, the terrorists were deceased, so we fell back to one of our strong points in our team is to then set up a command post, and then through the ICS system is run and handle the response to that incident.
So do you travel alone? Do you travel with a communications truck? How do you travel?
It depends. If it's in the continental United States, we would respond with that big white mobile command center right there. We have several of those positioned throughout the continental United States. So depending on what region is impacted, they would move the trucks around to then fill that gap.
Now, I come from a disaster communications organization, so I want to ask you a couple of questions about your communications. So, do you use UHF radios, VHF radios for your personal team? How do you communicate?
Primarily, we use VHF.
And are you digitally encrypted, or are you in
Yes, yes, we are.
Okay. Now, when you go working an event, do you pass your team communications through your communication trailer, or do you go directly to an EOC?
It would depend. Sometimes we do not go with the truck. In that case, we would go directly to the EOC. When we use the truck, our communication would go right to the truck, and then the truck would rebroadcast out.
So
on
when
the
you're not
appropriate
with
frequency.
your truck,
Yeah.
how do you communicate with the EOC?
With our radios, with our VHF radios.
So do they have your frequencies, or they don't hand out radios to you, or because
It-
that
it-
can get pretty harrowing. I know how it goes.
It literally depends. Slowly, we are being given radios that can transmit on both. So, but they're very expensive. Budgets are limited. So those radios are slow in making it to the field. But
Yes.
slowly and surely, we are getting radios that can do both.
Yes, over the past few years, as you know, the government has been pushing interoperability among all the agencies around the country, and
It's-
that's very difficult.
It's always an issue. And when you're dealing with the sheer number of agencies and the different means of communication, interoperability is always a problem.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for your time, and we want to thank you for your service. It can be a little bit dangerous out there, I'm sure.
Yeah, yes.
So, again, thank you very much, and please, you and your team, be safe.
Great. Thank you very much.